Hi everybody, it's Richard here again and welcome to another video. Now a couple of years ago I ranked the Vertigo singles of Status Quo, so those from 1972 right up to 1991. So I thought I would do the Vertigo albums this time. Now Status Quo have been going since 1967 whenever their debut album came out. Picturesque, match-stickable messages by the Status Quo, and they were on the Pie label, and they did have 4 albums on the Pie, which I'm not going to rank because 2 of them are actually completely different to what we know of Status Quo. Their debut is very psychedelic, along with their second album, Spare Parts, all very good albums. Now the third album introduced the boogie sound that we all know of Status Quo, which is Matt Kelly's Greasy Spoon, and then their fourth album on Pie is Dog of Two Head, which is also very good with the great single Mean Girl. And since 1991 they've been on various different labels, but I do want to give a shout out to this album here, Under the Influence, from 1999, which would be very high on my list if I was actually going to count it. But no, I'm not even too sure what label this is on. It's on Demon now, but I think it might have been on Eagle at the time. So there have been 16 studio albums by Quo on the Vertigo label from 1972 to 1991, and so we'll go through them. So at number 16 it goes to their 1988 album, and it is Ain't Complaining. Now I don't mind this, but it is their most 80s sounding album. The title track I absolutely love. It's like Status Quo do ZZ Top. I think it's really great fun. But there's not an awful lot else on this that I really do like. There's a big hit, Burning Bridges, which is Quo at their most catchy, but it turns into a very, very sickening catchy. I do like the other single, Who Gets the Love, which is like a ballad, which I think is very good. And I do like the very, again, catchy Cream of the Crop. It's not a bad album, but it is actually probably their least. And at number 15, their 1986 album, and it got to number 7 in the charts. Ain't Complaining got to number 12, and it is the first album of what I call Quo Mark II. It's in the army now. Quo Mark II is after John Coughlin and Alan Lancaster left, and they were replaced by Jeff Rich and John Edwards. This is the huge single in the army now. It's got Rollin' Home, which is produced by Dave Edmonds, which is a good song as well. Red Sky was another single. Dreamin', which is quite good, was one of those very catchy Francis Rossi songs. But apart from that, there's not an awful lot else I like. I do like the song Invitation, which is like almost like a little country type number. Calling is not bad, but overall not great. They do a cover of Ian Hunter's Speechless, which to me is not brilliant, so that gets my number 15. And number 14 from 1991, and it is Rock Till You Drop. Now this is a weird album because this actually contains one fantastic single, Can't Give You More, but it's a reworking of a song from the Rockin' All Over the World album. I do like both versions, but I just don't see the point of it. Like a Zombie opens this, which is actually really good, but it reminds me too much of a track called Ring of Change from Blue For You, which is one of my favourite Quo songs. Rock Till You Drop is one of those waltzy type ballads, which is not very good. Faking the Blues is a similar type song, but it is much better. And you get Warning Shot, which is another one of those waltzy type songs which I actually do quite like. Yeah, so you get a few cover versions on here as well, like Let's Work Together and the Sam Cooke song Bring It On Home. But it's not a bad album. The sound of this, they've got rid of the 80s sound, and that improves it, but still some of the quality of the songs is not brilliant, and that gets my number 14. At number 13, and a number 9 album from 1983, and it's back to back. Now this album featured 4 hit singles. 2 of them I really do like. Old Rag Blues, brilliant. Like Alan Lancaster song, absolutely brilliant. Margarita Time, which everyone hates but I do like. A Mess of Blues, the old Elvis song, which I don't see the point in, and Going Downtown Tonight, although the version on this is not the same as the single version. I do prefer the single version. Apart from that, there's not a lot else I really like on this. I don't mind Win or Lose, it's one of those catchy Rossi songs, but not a lot else. Can't Be Done's not great. Too Close to the Ground's not a bad little ballad, but it still falls, this album, for me at number 13. And it was number 9. I forgot to say that Rock Till You Drop got to number 10. Okay, number 12, and its album before it, and it's 1 plus 9 plus 8 plus 2, 1982, and basically this is supposedly 20 years since they've been together, so if you add up 1, 9, 8, 2, you get 20. This has 2 really good singles on it, Dear John, which is a cover version, and then Rick Parfitt's She Don't Fool Me, which didn't do too well. Jealousy is the obvious choice of a single. It wasn't released here, but I do believe it was released in the Republic of Ireland. I Love Rock and Roll, that Alan Lancaster song, is a throwback to 50s rock and roll, and it is not very good. There's a couple other decent songs off here, like Doesn't Matter and I Want the World to Know, and Young Pretender, but the last song, Big Man, is truly awful. It's not a bad album. It got to number 1 in the charts, and it gets my number 12. Now number 11 we have from 1978, and it's If You Can't Stand the Heat. Now this is 2 singles off it, Again and Again and Accident Prone. Now Accident Prone was a cover version. The problem with this is there's no big songs off it. This is a 70s album, and nearly every album by Status Quo had a huge, massive, big hit. Again and Again was the opener for this, and it wasn't a huge hit, and it's like a parody of Quo. It just keeps on again, and Status Quo were regarded for regurgitating the same stuff over and over again, so as I say, this was almost like a parody of the band themselves. But the album's not bad, but there's nothing, as I say, that really stands out, but there's nothing on this that I dislike. I really do like the song I'm Giving Up My Worrying, which is a Francis Rossi Frost song. Long Legged Linda's not a bad track. Stones by Alan Lancaster is like a little pop, nearly country number, which is okay. Like a Good Girl's alright. It's a decent album, but it's their least for me of the 1970s, and that would include the Pie ones as well. And I'm never too sure whether I like that cover or not. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Now number 10 is the one that may be a bit of a surprise for the Quo fans, but I really like Perfect Remedy, and this is from 1989, and this was their least successful album to date, only reaching number 49 in the charts. There's 2 singles off this, the bluesy Not At All, which I think is great, and Little Dreamer, which is one of those Francis Rossi, Bernie Frost songs, which is just catchy as hell. But this is almost like a Francis Rossi solo album, and there's quite a bit of country type songs off this, like Address Book, which sounds a bit like Margarita Time, but I absolutely love it. Tommy's in Love is regarded as one of the worst, but I don't mind it. It has a country feel as well. But then you get Going Down for the First Time, Throw Her a Line, and 1,000 Years, the last 3 songs, and I think they're all really, really good. The song The Power of Rock is, I believe it's a Rick Parfitt song, and it is really good as well. I think they edited that for a possible single release, but never came out. Could be wrong there. A Man Overboard is not bad. People don't like this album. I do, and it gets my number 10. I say it only got to number 49. Okay, number 9, and it's their first one for Vertigo in 1972, and it's Pile Driver. And by the cover you think this would really, really rock hard, but it doesn't actually. The opening single, Paper Plane, does rock hard, and it's absolutely brilliant. Don't Waste My Time is a Quo staple, played it a lot live, and Big Fat Mama's not a bad song. They do a version of Roadhouse Blues by the Doors, which is okay, it's nothing special. But some of this is actually quite laid back. For example, All the Reasons is very laid back, and Oh Baby is very laid back, almost a little bit psychedelic. A Year, Unspoken Words are very bluesy. It's not a bad album, it's just not one of my favourites, but still, Paper Plane is an absolute masterpiece, and it actually pulls this up even further. I was nearly going to put Perfect Remedy ahead of this, but this gets my number 9, and it got to number 5 in the charts. My number 8 album from 1977, and it is Rockin' All Over the World, and this one was produced by Pip Williams. Now, a lot of people don't like this because they think it's too poppy, and it's the production that lets it down. Now, I know this has been remixed in, must have been about 10 years ago or so now, which I haven't heard, but I have no issues with this at all. I love Rockin' All Over the World, the John Fogerty song. Quo do the ultimate version of it. It is brilliant. This also has Can't Give You More, which I mentioned earlier, which I absolutely love as well. Let's Ride's pretty good. Baby Boys, very good as well. You do get a song called Hold You Back, which almost predicts what they're going to do in the 80s. It's a little bit similar to Burning Bridges. It's not bad. It's not one of my favourites, but it is very, very catchy. But generally speaking, Rockers Rollin' is not a bad song as well. I like this album. I think it's really good, and it got to number 5 in the charts in 77. It is my number 8. Okay, number 7 from 1979, and got to number 3, and it is Whatever You Want. I think this is very, very good. The lead single, Whatever You Want, the Rick Parfitt song, is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And the second single, Living on an Island, which is an acoustic number, is really good as well. Another Rick Parfitt song. Shady Lady, absolutely fantastic. It's a Rossi Young song, and Who Asked You, the Alan Lancaster song, is very good. I love the Come Rock With Me and Rockin' On, which are the 1-2 punch of the second side. This is a really good album, and I do really like that cover, and it gets my number 7. And at number 6 from 1974, and a number 2 album, and it is Quo. Now, the single off this is Break the Rules, which I was never that keen on, but I actually do quite like it now. But you get the opening 2 songs are Alan Lancaster, Rick Parfitt songs, Backwater and Just Take Me, which I think are great. Drifting Away is another Lancaster Parfitt song. So there's not an awful lot of Francis Rossi on this. You do get Fine Fine Fine, which is one of those catchy Rossi Young songs. And then one of the best ever songs by Status Quo is Lonely Train, the last song on side 2, which I think is absolutely magnificent. So Quo gets my number 6. Now, at number 5 and a number 2 album from 1981, and it's Never Too Late, and I love this cover, by the way. And yeah, this here and Just Supposing were recorded more or less at the same time, and I think they actually considered releasing it as a double album. But this was the second album to come out. The opening track, Never Too Late, is fantastic, and then they do a really good version of the song Something About You Baby I Like, which Tom Jones had a hit with. Absolutely rousing version of Carl closes side 1 on this. It's really, really good, much better than the Rolling Stones. And then you get Mountain Lady and Don't Stop Me Now. I think Don't Stop Me Now is my favourite track off this album. I think it's really good. I think the sound of it is really good, from 1981, and that gets my number 5. And my number 4 is its twin brother or twin sister, and it's Just Supposing. Now, this features 2 of my all-time favourite Quo singles, What You're Proposing and Lies. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Don't Drive My Car is okay. It was a double A side with Lies, and it was a Rick Parfitt track. I do love the song Run to Mummy, the second song off side 1, and then you get The Name of the Game, which is really good as well. Rock and Roll is the last track off this. It's an acoustic number, and it was a single actually after Something About You Baby I Like, so they came back to this album to release it as a single. The only track I don't think is really good is The Wild Ones, which is an Alan Lancaster track. And I believe in the first CD issue of this, it was like a twofer, and they left that song off. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that was the case. So top 3, and these are all #1 albums. And my number 3 from 1976 is Blue For You, which has 2 hit singles, Rain, which is fantastic, and Mystery Song, which is even better. Now the album version of Mystery Song is just unbelievably good. It's almost like 2 songs. It starts off very laid back before it goes into that rockin' riff, and then goes back to the laid back version of the start at the end. The single version just has the middle part of the song. Is There a Better Way is a fantastic opener to this, and then you have Mad About the Boy, which is a good song. Ring of Change is one of my favourite Quo songs of all time as well. That's the one I said that Like a Zombie sounded like. That's a Fact and Rolling Home are really good. Ease Your Mind, very good song. No bad songs off this at all, and that's why it gets my number 3. And number 2 from 1975, and it's On the Level, and this has their only #1 hit single off it, Down Down. Little Lady opens this. Rick Parfitt, really good. Most of the time it's almost like a folky little number. I Saw the Light, brilliant. Over and Done, really good. I do love the track What to Do on side 2, Francis Rossi song, really strong. Where I Am, sorry, very good, and they do a really rousing version of Bye Bye Johnny, the Chuck Berry song. So yeah, On the Level, fantastic album from 1975. Which means my favourite Quo album is from 1973, and it is Hello. And this is the one with Caroline on it, which is my favourite Quo single. It also has Roll Over Lay Down on it, which was a hit single in its live form. I prefer the studio version, the one that's on here. Especially I love the wee psychedelic bit that it goes into. Claudie is like a little country number, which is absolutely brilliant. Blue Eyed Lady, one of the Quo's best deep cut tracks. And It's Better Now is great, and 4,500 Times is immense. The only one that I'm not that keen on is Softer Ride, but 8 tracks on this, 7 of them are brilliant, and this gets my #1, and it got to #1 in 1973. Okay, so that's my ranking of the Status Quo Vertigo albums. Really good. I didn't want to include the ones after because I'm not as familiar with them, and I didn't want to include the Pie ones because it's difficult to rank the first 2 because they are so different. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope to have another video quite soon. All the best now. Bye bye.